Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Legacy Journey. And I just want to remind everybody, we have no intro, we have no outro, we don't have a website. One day we'll have all that stuff. We don't edit these videos or anything. The purpose of all that is because I want to show the process from the beginning. I don't want to put a bunch of fluff on it and make anybody think that you have to be at some certain level in order to, get where we're going. So starting from the basics. So again, that's one of the things I love is that like all these episodes are just so simple right now, and there's going to come a day where they're probably more put together and more complex and nicer, but there's just a beautiful simplicity and like, hey, you can start, at ground zero and work your way all the way up. So, anyways, I also want to remind everybody that there is a link down in the description on the podcast and the video to the Google Docs in case you didn't catch it on the last episode. And I'm going to have links for stuff like when we read Entre Leadership by Dave Ramsey, Good to Great by Jim Collins, how to get that stuff. Some great like educational content going through. I've got videos on there from Ray Dalio, Mike Maloney, Investor Center. Also got some other educational content like the cash flow board game that we talked about last week, which I played and it was so good. Anyway, so make sure that you check out that link to go, be able to see all that content that I'm talking about. That way you can just get pointed in the right direction. So anyways, with that said, I actually want to start off this episode with something a little bit different than normal. I was doing my quiet time about 2 days ago, I think it was, and I read these verses. I understand that everybody has like different belief systems, but my belief in the Lord and Jesus is extremely important. It's a huge part of my life. And so I want to read this because I thought it was really powerful perspective. This is from Jesus on his Sermon on the Mount. So Matthew chapter 5, starting verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you falsely, and say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. And so I think the beginning part of that, really just gives some good perspective when I was reading it online. Like, if you're in a more difficult part of your journey right now, like that's okay. I've been through and am going through over and over, it seems like, difficult parts of the journey. And so, that's just, I guess, my little, bit of Jesus that like it filled me up from this last week. But yeah, wherever you're at in your journey, like I encourage you, I would just say to everybody, like walk with the Lord as a part of your journey. Give it a try if you haven't. Like it's so rich, it's so good. But the peace and wisdom that He's going to give you over time is completely unparalleled. But anyways, with that said, I want to talk about the struggle bus that I have been on this week. This is really rubber hitting the road. So working with the team that I'm working with right now, there's been a struggle of what does internal dialogue look like? What does that chain of command look like? There's been the two words of like respect and humility getting thrown around that was happening a lot last week. And so, this week I really just sat down with the guy who's over me and I just said, hey, I think it would be really good if we talked. If we had a conversation. I actually thought it'd be best if it was him and, our boss. But I want to leave that call up to him, out of trying to just kind of respect the communication system and everything that everybody had in place. So on Monday, the two of us talked, but then kind of there were some things that happened. I think it was a great thing that ended up happening on Wednesday. All three of us ended up talking. So we're kind of recapping and re-talking through some of the things that were discussed by me and the guy above me on Monday. And that communication was so good. So even me, like inside of my job, that dreaded three-letter job word, there was so much goodness inside of the communication, like just getting down to the meat and potatoes of what was going on. Another thing that I learned through this, like this whole process I'm going through right now, is there's been twice now where I could have hired somebody to help me build my company. And I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't have the wealthy legacy journey at that time. And so I think it's really neat to be able to start this journey from the ground floor all the way up. You guys are going to watch me hire somebody. And I'm not going to lie, like that's a scary thought, to be not only responsible for the food on my table, but the food on somebody else's table. But I know it's going to help take me further. And so I have to be confident in that. So with that said, as I'm working with this team, I always kind of thought you had to have everything perfect and everything put together in order to be ready to hire somebody. And I'm realizing that that's not the case. Like, we have kind of this rough idea of something that is working. It works sometimes, most of the time, maybe it's not really working right now. We're trying to figure out like how to make it work. But now I'm part of the team that's working to make it work. And it's like, wow, I can look back and I thought, many times, like, I was doing stuff that I didn't really believe in long term. But I look at where I'm at with this team right now, and it's like, if I hire the right people, when things start to not work as well, we can work as a team to make it work better, to make it work more efficiently. Maybe we need to pivot a little bit. That's a part of what the team is there for. It's not my job just to say, okay, we're going this way and everybody follow me. It's like, we can all kind of journey together as a team inside of that team. So my mindset around that has been changing a lot, and that actually really excites me, because I want to have a team. So I should just say, like, at any point, if you're watching this very soon, when I say very soon, I probably say within the next year, but I mean, if you're watching this as like a past video, if you're like a go-getter, or you want to learn about like real estate and you want to work with me and the team, like, you're willing to be, work hard and be aggressive about moving forward and growing yourself, I would love for you to reach out to me. Man, I don't even have an email yet at the moment that I'm recording this, but drop a comment on YouTube or the podcast, or anything like along those lines. And I mean, I really want to find people that they're hungry. They don't just want a 9 to 5 where they clock in, they clock out, and they're just like a zombie through life. Like, I want somebody who's passionate about life, passionate about growth and moving forward, to venture with me, to join with me, so I don't have to walk this path alone. And it's not just this podcast. Like, I mean, like, for stuff we're building, the wealthy legacy journey and real estate and stocks, and what we're pursuing and how we're making money and how we're making stuff like happen. Even in the nonprofit, like, ministry side, all of that. Like, I want good people. I want the right people in the right seats of the bus, as Jim Collins would say, and good to great. So, but this lesson right now is sinking so deep, and that's good, that I won't make the same mistake 3 times. I really am like, next time I get my opportunity, I'm just going to keep moving forward. I'm not going to just walk away from what's working. And so if any of you right now are feeling stuck, like, wherever you're at in your journey, I 100% understand that. I felt stuck many times trying to make money. It's been 2 times now where I've really started to get that, flywheel turning for me, and spinning. And then I kind of got stuck at that hiring point, and I got, honestly scared, and I backed off from the challenge of life in that moment. And that was not a good thing for me to do. And so if you feel stuck, if you've ever felt set back, like, I understand all of those feelings. I am living that right now as I'm recording this video. And the hardest part about all this, for me at least, is the fact that, like, I know that I at this moment don't have enough cash on hand to really have options. I feel stuck because I can't even make a different decision. This last Friday, I went and sat down with my really good friend Nathan Bowers, really cool dude. And I just talked to him. He knows everything that's going on. We're accountability partners in that sense, and just iron sharpening iron kind of guys. And so, I was just telling him, I was like, I just don't know what to do. I feel stuck. And he said, you could either work a job and make good money, or you could be an entrepreneur, and you could do very well on your own. But you have to, venture off into that unknown. What do you want? And, I basically was like, well, now that I've got 3 kids and a wife, I need to have stability. But I do want to venture off into my own. And so, now I'm really looking at, okay, so I know what I have to do, like, right this moment while I'm rebuilding, my war chest. But once my war chest is to a place that I feel like I have enough momentum and other things that I'm working on to be able to move forward on those well and build something that's, productive and long-term sustainable. That's what I want. And so my hope is that a lot of the people watching this are kind of in the same thought process of like, you are either like in that journey of self-sufficiency on your own, or you're trying to go that direction to being self-sustaining on your own. And so I would just say, like, if you're at a place right now, or you've ever been at a place where you just kind of feel locked in, like you don't have options because you have to be where you're at, figure out how to open up your options. A huge part of that is self-education. Like, my education and what I know has taken me so much further than any dollar ever has. It's just opened up really cool doors and opportunities for me. On top of that, it helps you to earn more, get higher paying jobs. And so I've continued to, stair step my way up into bigger deals, bigger partnerships, or, now in this case, a very well paying job. And so that really helps. But also making sacrifices. Libby and I literally, so this is November. As of next month, December of 2022, 23, got lost in the years there. December of 2023, we will have all of our debt paid off, which is a huge accomplishment. All of our consumer debt outside of our house. And so we're kind of doing the Dave Ramsey thing this time around and going, okay, now that that's paid off, we want to build up, a savings. We want to build up, investments. And, so I would say probably within about a year and a half from today, maybe like mid 2025 ish is when I'm looking to be able to, step out on my own. But I've got a game plan of how to get there well. So yeah, but that was just an amazing, accountability conversation with Nathan. I also had a really good accountability conversation with Tim, my dad, and really just getting some wisdom from him on stuff. So maybe that's a friend, maybe that's your dad or your mom or whoever, or like maybe it's just somebody outside of that circle. Maybe you need to find some wisdom and wise people. And so I would recommend, if you don't have somebody like that in your life, find that person. My pastor, he calls it having your Barnabas, your Paul, and your Timothy in life. And so, Barnabas being the friend, Paul is a mentor to Timothy, and then Timothy is like the mentoree, I guess. I don't know, the one being mentored by Paul. And so at all times, we should be in all three of those positions, but we should also have people in all three of those positions for us. Somebody that's mentoring us, somebody that we're mentoring, and then somebody that's, a kind of, I don't know, a peer that is just sharpening us in our everyday life. Like, not just somebody that you hear on a video or podcast, something like this, but somebody that you actually like know that's there. Like, you've got to have real people in your life to do those things if you want to be able to be pushed ahead. So the conversations of accountability were great. I'm the one who opened the door on those. You've got to be able to open up those doors and hear the hard stuff about your personality and your struggles, and be willing to take constructional feedback well and then apply it. But yeah, leading the charge on that internal team resolution, setting those expectations, having that time for, healthy honesty and respect and transparency among the teams, for the team to me, from me to the team, was amazing. That was so good. And that's something that I want inside of my team. I'm a cut the crap, get straight to the meat potatoes kind of guy. I love communicating. I love having open dialogue and open communication within my family, within my team, within everything that I'm doing. That's really important to me, and it's not about being a bully, and I'm not like, oh, you need to have thick skin if you're going to be around me. Like, no, like I try to be like aware of how what I'm communicating makes other people, feel. And I try to communicate in an effective manner. But at the end of the day, we're not going to avoid a topic altogether just because it might make somebody uncomfortable. We got to get straight to it. So yeah, I guess that's maybe like a little glimpse into my personality and what works for me. Not to say that has to be the same case for everyone. A moment that I wanted to share with you guys, though, from this past week that was just, raw and real. And the reason I look at my phone, just so you guys know, is like, as I go through the week, something happens and I'm like, ooh, I should talk about that in the episode. And so I record these episodes like Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, one of those days, like at the end of the week. And I used to come out on Fridays, but that was too hard because if I didn't get it done on time on Friday, so now I release them on Monday. Um, and so there's like generally like probably 5 to 9 days max, depending on like when I recorded last time and the next time. And so it's about a week between, each recording. And so I just like literally I just write my notes down as I go through the week. And then when I'm done with the episode, I clear my notes out and I start fresh, or like, just moments. And I'm like, that was impactful for me, like something that I took away that was good for me. Like I want to share that. And so that's why I have my phone here. Is just all those notes. But all the stuff that I talk about like really happened. It's just literally like what happened this past week. And so speaking of one of those things that happened this past week is me and the family, we went and ate at Sonic. And that might not sound like a huge deal for some, but it's probably the first time I've eaten at Sonic in like a year, maybe 2 years. And it's not that I have anything against Sonic. I used to be 250 pounds. I was a pretty big dude. We went on this very big, health trend. And so Sonic is just not the most healthy food option out there. It's not a very healthy, fast food option, in fact. And so I try to be really aware of what I put into my body as fuel. And I'm not the biggest health guy out there by any stretch of the imagination, but I do try to have an awareness. And I still am walking out my health journey. So, but it was just kind of one of those days where it was like kids were going nuts, everybody was feeling cooped up, Libby wanted to get out of the house. But we looked at the budget, and like before, old Kendall would have been like, heck yeah, we're going out to eat, like let's do it. But we're really working hard to pay off our debt, and once our debt's paid off, we're going to save up money as fast as we can and start putting into capital gains type investments, to start flipping our money. And so my question was like, where is that money going to come from? And that was tough for Libby because that's been a huge like mental shift for me. I used to not think that way or act that way at all. But really it was like, hey, we got to dig into the budget. Libby was always the saver. And so for me to be the one like, hey, I mean, we can go, but like what money is in the budget? Like, where is that going to come from? And so I had a little bit of birthday money left that was in the budget. And so like we're really, we kept really try to keep track of where everything is, how much is where. And anyways, there was like, I think it was like $40. So I was like, well, for all five of us to go, KB doesn't really eat. So four of us, my girls, they eat quite a bit now, especially when they go out to eat, they eat like a full meal. If we're at home, sometimes they don't. Um, it's like that gets expensive. So it's like, okay, well, anywhere sit down is like out of the question because we're going to probably break that budget. So then we started talking through fast food options, and it was like, well, if we go like anywhere, just a little bit more expensive, we're going to go through most of that money, and we're not going to have the opportunity to be able to go out again during the month of November. And we're still at the beginning of November. I mean, it's November 10th right now. This was last week. So beginning of November. I mean, this money was obviously from the end of October because my birthday is at the end of October, but we don't have a budget for going out to eat right now because we're paying off debt, and then we're going to be saving up money. So that's one of the sacrifices that we made. So we still go to the parks and do picnics and stuff, but eating out budget's not there. Anyways, so we looked at it, and I was like, it's pretty much like McDonald's or Sonic. Do we have money sitting there that we could go out to eat? Yes. Like, right now we're paying off debt. I think we're somewhere in the ballpark of putting like we've really tightened life down, and I think we're putting like over $1,000 a month, like paying off that as fast as possible. We're getting like tons of debt paid off in like 6 months, so it's great. But yeah, and so anyways, even though the money's there and we could tap into it, that money is set aside for something very specific. A budget, Dave Ramsey said, a budget is about telling your money where to go, so that way you don't sit back and wonder where it went. And so I'm not going to wonder where it went. I know where my money goes now. A lot of it's going to pay off debts from poor decision making in the past. So I'm having to pay for that poor decision making that I've done in the past. And so we went to Sonic. We paid like I think we were under $15 for the family, and it was a big like, oh yeah, I think it was like $12. And don't judge me if you're a super health nut. I usually am as well, to a degree. But it was a moment where I knew that the financial goals were more important at that moment, and my wife needed a break, and so that was just kind of the consensus that we came to. So I guess with that, what I would say is that there's going to be different seasons that you go through where you're going to be able to experience like different levels of fruit and growth in your life. And so, if you're in a season of peanut butter and jellies and, fast food once a month as your like big treat, if once a month even, that's okay. Be proud of it, own it. And I can say that genuinely. Like I remember when Libby and we didn't have like super nice cars. When I finally bought my truck, I had like a GMC Sierra and I had debt on that truck. And but I was so proud to drive that around because I thought it made me somebody special. And now I'm back to driving a little car. Sold the truck, got a little bit of money out of that, and we use that to pay off some of the debt. My wife drives an old minivan, and they're good cars. They're not something to be proud of in the sense of, hey, we made like a lot of money, or they look really nice. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a call come in, distracted me for a second. They're not like, oh, they're super shiny and nice and look brand new, like they make me look like somebody special. No, but I'm proud of them because in a month from now, we won't have any car payments, and it's where I'm at right now, and I'm learning how to be comfortable in my own skin and just genuine with the journey. And that's what I'm trying to do with you guys, is like not pretend that I'm somebody that I'm not, but just being genuine with the journey. So anyways, there's one last thing that I wanted to share on today's episode. And I want to tell you like the story first. So last week, I think it was last week, end of last week, or maybe it was beginning of this past week, I came home one day and the kids were climbing on their playset. And usually, they just go up their little ladder and they go down the slide. And, it's fun. And it has like, 3 little swings on it. And it's just like a little kid's, play set, not like a big thing at a park, not like a baby play, kind of in the middle. Anyways. So this is the first time they started exploring climbing up the outside. And I think it's important for kids to push themselves. And so I let my kids climb on the outside of the play set. Call that good parenting, call it bad parenting, whatever you will. I think it's good parenting because, my kids need to learn what it's like to push the limits on something and realize that sometimes you get stuck in a tight pickle if you, put yourself in a situation like that. But I'd rather them learn that with me in a simple sense of the play set, where they can really strategically look at that and go, can I make that? And then they can learn how to take a difficult new situation one step and one handhold at a time, than trying to figure that out in the real world all by themselves. So anyways, but with that, there are 3 phrase switches, and I think I'm going to put this into the Wealthy Legacy Journey resources page, like under like phrases, because there's another cool one too that I heard before. And I think like just some quotes and stuff would be really kind of neat. So there's 3 phrase switches that I want to give. I realized I don't think I talked about this on the show yet. When I was talking about my kids that day, and I was like, man, I don't think I mentioned that. And these are really good. And these are actually things that I came up with whenever I was trying to get through some of the code, when I was teaching myself how to code for Algorithmos. And so 3 like important things. So I would challenge everybody on the show to get rid of the phrase, I can't. Don't let it come out of your mouth again. And every time it does, correct yourself. But you have to substitute it. You can't just not say something. If you remove something like I can't, you create a vacuum of like, well, what's going to fill up that space? So you always have to put a replacement in anything that you get rid of in your life. You have to put a replacement in there to fill that gap. So instead of saying I can't, here's what I would challenge you to say. I haven't figured out how to do this yet, but I will. So I could have said, hey, I can't code. Well, no, I don't say I can't code. I would say, I haven't figured out how to code that yet. I haven't figured out how to code Python yet, but I will. Not if I need to, I will, but I will. I know that's something I need to do, but I will. Instead of saying, I can't do a podcast, I don't know how to do, I've never done a podcast before. I haven't figured out how to do a podcast before, but I will. I haven't figured out how to do a podcast yet, but I will. So instead of saying I can't, just I haven't figured out how to do this yet, but I will. It's a declaration. So no more I can'ts, right? It needs to instead be I haven't figured out how to do this yet, but I will. And I said that over and over and over, but it's so important. Second one, I don't know how. Nasty, nasty, nasty words. I don't personally want to say the words I don't know, or I don't know how, or I don't, any variation of that. No, 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 no. Let's not say that anymore. What I would challenge you to say is, I need to chew on this, but it'll come to me. Or I need to chew on this and I'll look it up. So for me, for example, hey, I don't know how to upload a video to YouTube. Okay, well, maybe that's I can't, or maybe that's, that might be an I can't change out, where it's I haven't figured out how to do this yet, but I will. Or I need to chew on this, but I'll look it up and I'll figure it out. Right? I'll figure out how to do this. I will figure out how to do this. Like, I don't know how to do this right at this moment. Okay. But instead of saying I don't know, or I can't, or limiting myself in those words, say I need to chew on this, but it'll come to me. More with this, it was like, if I came to a problem, I came up with this when Tim and I were coding Algorithmos. And if I came to this problem in the code where I didn't know how to do it, instead of saying like, man, I don't know how to do this, I just don't know, I would say I need to chew on this, but it'll come to me. And I just have to think about it and give it 5 or 10 minutes, chew on it, just thinking about it, walk away from the problem, come back. And then it's like, okay, maybe if we try this, maybe if we try that. And that was how I got through that project. Final word, like rephrase, switch, I don't know what exactly you'd call it, is it's not possible. And the phrase I would change out for that is, this is another great opportunity to do the impossible as we've done before. I would say that in my life, I've seen the impossible done. I've done some impossible things that, and it's not that I thought they were necessarily impossible, but it's just that, like, most people don't do them. And there's quite a few people out there who think that that is impossible. And so, don't let the words "it's not possible" come out of your mouth, is what would be my challenge to you. This is just another great opportunity to do the impossible as we've done before. Let's do the impossible. And there was several times where we hit a wall building Algorithmos, where it was like, geez, I don't think we can even move forward. Like, we hit this point where it was like, we didn't see how we were going to come past that obstacle. But it was another great opportunity to do the impossible. We learned a lot through those moments, and we got through it. And so, I even think about this right now. Is like, I could be sitting here going, I can't start a business. I've tried twice. I obviously, like, I failed twice. I can't do this. But instead, I'm going to say, I haven't figured out how to run and build a successful company yet, but I will. I'm going to keep moving forward, and I will figure this out. I could say, man, I just don't know how to do this. I don't know how to, build a successful company. I don't know how to teach people real estate. Like, I don't know, like, I know some things now. When I first started, I didn't know anything, but now I know some stuff, but obviously I don't know enough to, like, build something successful. But instead I'm going to say, I need to chew on this. And that chewing process might take years, but it'll eventually come to me. Reading books like Dave Ramsey's EntreLeadership, reading books like Jim Collins' Good to Great, those take you leaps and bounds ahead, because those are people who have learned lessons, and now you just get to absorb that and then implement it. So those are beautiful tools to put in the tool belt, if you're disciplined enough to do that. And I would recommend, if you want to grow in your journey, be disciplined enough to do that. Like, force yourself to learn that discipline. And finally, and I've even struggled with this myself, of thinking like, what I'm trying to do here, being an entrepreneur, just isn't possible for me. It feels impossible. It honestly does. Like, there's moments where, before I got on this call, I was talking with Kane, and before I got on the call with Kane, like, I just felt kind of just down. And I honestly just felt like, man, what I'm trying to do is not possible. And this is even a good reminder for me of just saying, this is another great opportunity to do the impossible, as we've done many, many times before. So yeah, no more I can't, no more I don't know, and no more it's not possible. Instead, I haven't figured out how to do this yet, but I will. I need to chew on this, but it will come to me. And this is another great opportunity to do the impossible, as we've done many times before. So anyways, with that said, thank you guys for stopping in this week's episode of the Wealthy Legacy Journey. It's been kind of a tough week, really just in job mode. I forgot to say, I went to my first tax sale this last week, which was cool too, but it just kind of made my work week a little bit longer. But it was good. It was hard to go to it and know that I could have made money, but not. But this journey of, like, entrepreneurship isn't always about making money at every single moment. like I said, that education portion takes you light years ahead sometimes, oftentimes actually. And so right now for the tax sales, I'm kind of in the education portion of it. But when it's time for rubber to hit the road, which probably will be January, and actually implementing on that, I can't be afraid to make that leap either, or I'm always just going to be stuck where I'm at. You have to take those steps forward in order to move forward. So, anyways, one more time, just a reminder, the link for the Wealthy Legacy Journey resources is going to be in the description in Spotify and YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and add the verbiage for like, I don't know, and it's not possible on there. It'll probably be at the very end. So there's like articles, books, and book report content. And then there's like a video and podcast educational content. And then there is other educational content. Probably after that, I'll do like inspirational quotes or phrases or something like along those lines that I just find to be powerful, and I'll add these there. So if you didn't catch all that, or if you're curious, like what other phrases and stuff that I found over the years to be inspirational, go there, check it out. I hope that's a helpful resource for you guys. Thanks everybody for stopping in again for another week of the Wealthy Legacy Journey. With that said, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you got something from this, especially on those, word change outs. Because really the reason that I come for, half an hour or so every week is to help you guys. Like I love to help. And so I'm going to close this episode off to you guys again, as I always do, because it's really what this is all about. It's not about me becoming more well-known. It's about me putting my hand down to help the person behind me, because as I do that, it's going to help me move forward too. So I want to serve and give because of how much I've been served and given to. So anyways, with that said, this is another episode of the Wealthy Legacy Journey dedicated to you and your own personal wealthy legacy journey. It's been awesome talking with you guys today, and I will talk to you more next week. See y'all.